Hello everyone. Today I will be discussing the pagan origins of the celebration or holiday that many of us come to know as Independence Day or 4th of July.
Today we come together as one nation with this very special salute to America. We celebrate our history, our people, and the heroes who proudly defend our flag.
The American dream is within you, not the president. But the president understands exactly what this is all about, especially the 4th of July. The 4th of July is just not about cookouts and us just sitting here. The 4th of July is about a lot of people that have made the sacrifice before anyone.
I thought it was awesome. It was worth getting completely soaked.
Had the weather been sunny and that address would have came across and then the fireworks and stuff like that, that could have been the only thing that would have made it perfect.
This is where your taxpayer dollars are going, and we honor the men and women that are flying these machines.
First, I'll briefly discuss the political side of 4th of July and how we come to know it, at least the storyline they give us about it. And then I will discuss the spiritual side of what's really going on and what the 4th of July is really attached to. So I'm going to begin with the political side. July 4th, 1776 is said to be the date that the United States claimed independence from Britain. Although some historians believe it actually took place July 2nd, 1776. If you do your research, you will find that in 1776 there were still slaves in America. This was evidenced because there were slaves in Texas who didn't even know they were being freed. Until around 1865, after Abraham Lincoln caught wind of this and sent a Texas general to fight the Confederates in Texas to free the slaves. I want to stop and say this as a side note. Abraham Lincoln or no other man is my savior. The only savior I have is Christ the Savior. We should stop praising and making heroes out of man and recognize that it is the Most High Creator who uses these people to make them do certain things. And he can use good or evil as he chooses. That the United States is not even a country. It is in fact a corporation. A corporation that is owned by the Queen of England. So go figure. Given this fact, how free, independent, or separate are we really from Britain? Anyway, there is obviously more to this political side of truth.
Your Majesty, Melania and I are profoundly honored to be your guests for this historic state visit. Thank you for your warm welcome, for this beautiful weather, your gracious hospitality, and Your Majesty's nearly 7 decades of treasured friendship with the United States of America. This week, we commemorate a mighty endeavor of righteous nations and one of the greatest undertakings in all of history. This evening, we thank God for the brave sons of the United Kingdom and the United States who defeated the Nazis and the Nazi regime and liberated millions from tyranny. The bond between our nations was forever sealed in that great crusade.
Now let's go on to the spiritual aspects of the 4th of July. Before beginning with the spiritual connection to the 4th of July, I just want to make it clear that the cycle and the movements and all of those things, the position of the constellations itself and how things are going in the atmosphere and all that is not evil. What makes it become evil or sorcery, as the Most High Creator would put it, is when people study these things and try to do things in life or plan things in life around it or toward it to get some sort of outcome. That's when it becomes evil. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I speak about it. Of course, many will see it as not being evil. These same people you can call sorcerers because that's what the Most High call them. You're not supposed to try to beat time or do things as if you're God in this earth by studying the atmosphere and how the constellation works. So just to be clear, the constellations and the stars and how things work up there and all that, that itself is not evil. In fact, the Creator made those things. However, man took it upon himself to try to intervene with these celestial beings and try to make their own path to whatever Satan is trying to do in this earth. Moving on to the spiritual connection of the 4th of July. This world, for those that haven't figured it out yet, is ran on mystery, Babylonian, sun worship principles and rules. Basically, it's a religion. And many of the things in this world, such as holidays, clubs, organizations, institutions, beliefs, fashion, trends, traditions, they're all constructed using cycles and movements of the constellation, the sun, geometrical positions of the sun and of certain stars and all that kind of stuff. The British, Romans, elite rulers, etc. of this world is making everyone in the world give homage and honor to Satan through sun worship. And that is the God honest truth. The 4th of July is no exception. The 4th of July is connected to none other than the star Sirius and goes by many, many names. The Black Sun, the Dog Star, Lord of Cyrus, Blazing Star, Eastern Star, Silver Star of Heaven, Isis, and many, many more. There's a time of year when Sirius connects with the sun. That's what this is all about, and I'll get into that in a second. Sirius is connected to a lot of different things in this earth and a lot of other movements in the constellation. But for sake of the video, we'll stick to what happens during the 4th of July. On or around the 4th of July is a time period where Sirius connects with the sun. Now, astrologically speaking, a conjunction is the strongest aspect celestial bodies can have. So to the people that study these energies and cosmic functions, it's a big deal. It means that they can get certain things done in this earth that they're trying to do. Of course, it's outside of the Creator's will, but they think they're on a higher level of consciousness. So Satan would have them believe anyway. Supernaturally, from what I understand, portals, gateways, and stuff like that are supposed to be opening because of this conjunction with Sirius and the sun. So while they got you celebrating the 4th of July, there's a deeper, sinister plot going on. Spiritually, folks, it's a spiritual war, and it has always been a spiritual war. Now remember, there's always a political or carnal storyline to everything that goes on in this earth. But remember, the war is spiritual, so you should not take your eyes totally off of the spiritual side. This is exactly how Satan comes in and robs us all blind, putting us all on the wrong team because we don't understand the things that we're celebrating and becoming a part of. Many of the things they have us doing is hidden in iniquity. That's the name of the game. It's hidden. It's not going to be outright where you recognize it goes against the Creator. It's going to be hidden. That's the mystery of iniquity. So let me explain this conjunction a little more so that you can understand what's going on and why they attached it to the 4th of July. Sirius, first of all, is made of two parts. It's got a smaller dwarf-like star, kind of like that hangs in the same energy with Sirius. It's really part of Sirius. That's why oftentimes when you see it on the chart or whatever, you'll see Sirius A and Sirius B. That's what Sirius A and B mean. There's a smaller dwarf-like white star that's a part of Sirius, the big star. They're together, from what I understand. Just to explain the chart so you don't get too confused. So this chart represents the conjunction. When Sirius and the Sun conjuncts together, this is known as the star constellation, made up of 3 parts, A, B, and C. This conjunction is associated with the hottest days of the year, hence the term dog days of summer, which it is represented by the dog star, Sirius, the brightest star in the sky.
Hey, is Zone here yet?
For the millionth time, no. I will budge you the second he gets here. Jeez, I've never seen you so excited. You're like a little girl the morning her brother gets out of jail for beating up a cop. Or Christmas morning.
Michael Faraday!
This is like stepping back in time.
The past is prologue, Michael. Men like us have to keep looking to the future.
I've been going over this Millennium Project proposal. There's some great stuff in here. I do think you should tone down the Armageddon end of days rhetoric.
No need to worry, Michael. I have some good news. I'm the Messiah.
That's a good joke. That's great. You start with that, you keep them light.
No, Michael, I'm serious. The chosen one. The King of Kings. The Alpha and the Omega. You're looking at him.
Look, Owen, if this is some kind of joke, let me just say, good one. I get it. That's, hot.
I'm as shocked as you are, believe me. I'm as shocked as you are, believe me. This is a big responsibility. I mean, look at this.
Things to do. Banish Satan and the forces of evil. Build the New Jerusalem. Buy milk.
Milk. I keep forgetting to pick up milk.
Owen, you can't be serious.
Oh, look, Michael, I know I'm supposed to be able to do this all by myself, being the Son of God and all. I know I'm supposed to be able to do this all by myself, being the Son of God and all. But I'm feeling a lot of pressure, so I was thinking, maybe you could help me.
Well, you want me to help you, banish Satan and establish God's kingdom on earth?
If you're not too busy.
So, I hear you've been out of the game for a while. Are you sure you're still as sharp as Mike says?
How long have you been dating your secretary?
About a week.
You like this, don't you? Yes, you do. Yeah. All right. That's about all, kiddo. There you go. There you are. You just stay right there, Rags, all right?
Poor Rags. Good dog. It's a miracle. I'm the Messiah. I'm serious. The chosen one. The King of Kings. The Alpha and the Omega. You're looking at him. My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Known to many who follow the energies and movements of the constellation as the spiritual sun. Some conscious communities, as well as other religious groups, have been known to even call Sirius the star of Christ consciousness. And again, there are many other names that they call this star. So when Sirius conjoins with the sun, it is believed to be a movement that has energies for independence, freedom, and liberation. Hence the reason why they chose the 4th of July to celebrate the so-called independence freedom of the United States from Britain. And I say so-called because, like I explained to you earlier, the United States is not a country. It's a corporation and it's owned by the Queen of England. Again, so go figure. And it just goes to show you how they lie about things. So in turn, you're not celebrating your independence and freedom and liberation away from Britain, because we know now that the Queen of England still owns America. So you never really separated in the first place. What you are celebrating, though, is a deeper, sinister thing, and is hidden in iniquity. You are celebrating your independence, freedom, and liberation away from the Most High Creator. That is what you're really celebrating on the 4th of July. They just tied it in with the theme of 4th of July and all of that. They gave you a storyline, and as you can see, that storyline is falling apart because now we all come to find out America is a corporation and Queen Elizabeth of England owns it.
Hello, this is John with Theology Ed. There was a movie released called We Summon the Darkness in December 2019. I wasn't familiar with it at the time. I wasn't paying very close attention. And when I saw the name of this film recently, I thought there has to be something interesting or related to the 4th of July or the Buck Moon or something along those lines, because we've seen this pattern so much. And what I'm going to do in this video, first, for people who've not seen any of my videos before, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick review of the importance of the June 21st eclipse. There's an annular eclipse on June 21st, just a few hours after summer solstice. And then a couple weeks later is the buck moon, which is the full moon in July. But it's the first full moon after this eclipse. And there's all sorts of evidence from various sources that show that these dates and these events are very important to the occult elite, who are planning some sort of ritual and actions that either include a second 9/11 or will lead up to it. And so let's go ahead. I'm going to do a quick review first, but then I'm going to show how this film also supports this whole idea of the 4th of July, 4th and 5th buck moon event. So, of course, we have iPet Goat 2. This room is a calendar. It's the 2020 calendar. It's also the 2017 calendar, but for now we're just going to look at the 2020 calendar. If you're interested in seeing more about the 2017 calendar, I have a whole series on iPet Goat 2 explained, and then another video about the June 21st, 2020 annular eclipse and Operation Blackjack, which also explains the 2017 calendar. You can take a look at those. There it is. This is how they begin the film. It goes from black to that. There is a bunny on the road, and they show this for about 10 seconds. The rabbit just sort of there as this car passes with the girls in it. And they set this in 1988. Some of you are coming from different channels that are talking a lot about the number 88. This is a 2019 movie, and they set it about summoning the darkness. It's going to be about a satanic ritual. Okay, I'll explain. And it's set in 1988, and it begins right away with your bunny again. It is, where's your 4th of July spirit? She says that this is going to be about the 4th of July, events happening on the 4th of July. In fact, the entire film, from beginning to end, is all on one night, July 4th through dawn of July 5th. Okay, so this is all on the 4th of July. They go to a satanic rock and roll party, or a little concert, small one. Everybody is wearing their satanic stuff. She's got Lord Lucifer on her coat, and they're wearing, could you see it on here? She's got Lord Lucifer here. This girl has an upside down cross she's wearing. They've got everything, and it's very, it's repeated in extreme as satanic symbolism, because partly it's supposed to be a little humorous, I think. But they are not actually Satanists. They're supposed to be Christians perpetrating a false flag attack against Satanists. Basically, they're going to go out and pretend to be Satanists, decorate a room up with satanic symbols and so on, to do a sacrifice and kill people so they can blame Satanists and go around and say, oh, you need Jesus. So it's a false flag attack against Satanists by Christians in the film, so-called Christians, right? They end up being really terrible people, obviously, throughout the whole thing. They throw fireworks in this person's car. There's 3 guys in their car because they're retaliating for something they did earlier. And they yell, Happy 4th of July, expletives, okay? And so the story is about them going out, perpetrating a false flag attack against Satanists on the 4th of July in a satanic ritual imitation, okay, where you see all the symbolism here, where they're going to sacrifice and kill people in the name of Satan on the 4th of July through the night of the 4th of July into the morning of the 5th of July. And that is the story of the film, set in 1988, opening with your little bunny. Again, with everything else, if this was by itself, if this was the only thing, I wouldn't read too much into it. But again, it's just another piece of corroborating evidence. It goes with everything else.
Under the Milky Way tonight.
28 days.
Wish I knew what you were
6 hours. 42 minutes. 12 seconds. That is when the world will
about cleaning up their money.
42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
Basic principles of time travel are there. You got your vessel and your portal. The vessel can be just about anything, most likely a spacecraft.
Like a DeLorean.
Metalcraft.
You know, I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so,
6
like futuristic, you know?
42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
But I want to be a president of the United States who makes sure that we never again do business. That we never again live in a country. I went down there and talked to the president of Panama about cleaning up their money laundering.
It leads you here, despite your destination. Under the Milky Way tonight.
6 hours,
Wish I knew what
42 minutes, 12 seconds.
might I know what you would find. Wish I knew what.
You know, I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so, like futuristic, you know?
Might I know what you would find. And it's something quite peculiar.
6 hours, 42 minutes,
Something shimmering
12
and
seconds.
white.
That is when the world
It leads you here, despite your destination. Under the Milky Way
20 days. 6
Basic principles of time travel are there. You got your vessel and your portal. The vessel can be just about anything, most likely a spacecraft.
Like a DeLorean.
Metalcraft.
You know, I love that movie, the way they shot it. It's so,
20 days.
like futuristic, you know?
6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds. That is when the world will end.
and it's something quite peculiar.
28 days,
Something shimmering and
6 hours, 42 minutes,
it leads you here,
12 seconds.
despite your
That
destination.
is when the world will end.
Milky Way tonight. Wish I knew what you were looking for. Might I know what you would find. Wish I knew what you were looking for.
I want to make note that the Bible speaks of this star as the Star of Moloch. It has many other names from culture to culture, generation to generation, people to people, group to group, nation to nation, organization to organization. You get my drift. But in Acts 7:43, the tabernacles of the Moloch and the star of the god rampant, it's all on national flags. Police departments use it, the Masonics, the Royals, Islam. It's on military vehicles. The Russians, Japanese, Chinese. The red five-pointed star is seen on Russians and Chinese fighter jets and bombers. Iraq is using it, Macy's, Walmart, other corporations. I mean, it's everywhere. Religious and non-religious sectors. It's just everywhere. Pay attention, y'all. After a while, you start comparing things that's going on today to the Bible, and you realize that this is Mystery Babylon all over again. And Satan is running this kingdom. Sirius is Satan. And a lot of people use that star for witchcraft and sorcery, and that's what it's being used for in the earth.
To all our brethren to receive the most worshipful, the Grand Master.
Indeed, Brother Washington. All Freemasons meet as equals, and we have an opportunity to create a nation in the very essence of Masonic morality. It would be wonderfully symbolic, don't you think?
You'll be wanting to put the all-seeing eye on our banknotes next.
You think I'm taking it a bit far?
Please don't ask me questions like that, Brother Franklin. You know I cannot tell a lie.
Oh, come on, Brother Washington. Everybody lies occasionally, surely. Especially politicians.
Not me. Not even so much as an alternative fact.
We must all be aware of fake news.
The people must be free to think what they like as well. We can have no thought police in our new society. The foundation stone of our new nation built on all those principles that we hold dear.
The plans for our new capital city already have a very Masonic feel to them, yeah.
Candidate for initiation into the order, I'm giving him a little introduction into some of our mysteries. These two gentlemen are founding an entire nation built on our principles.
We have great promises for our new nation. You know, I wonder if other presidents after me will also be Freemasons.
Many will be. And Freemasonry will become embedded in the American culture. And the eye will appear on the banknotes.
Oh, God.
These principles will be honored with a gift from your French brethren. A gift that will be a welcoming beacon to the poor and oppressed.
This is the statue we are giving you.
It's a bit small, isn't it?
Oh, this is a maquette. The real thing is bigger. Much, much bigger. I call her Liberty Enlightening the World.
Catchy.
America will produce a great many great Americans from many different walks of life and many different fields, and many will be Masons. Sportsmen, actors, writers, soldiers, filmmakers, businessmen, inventors, astronauts.
What on earth is an astronaut?
No, they're not.
I don't follow.
Well, they're not on Earth, they're in space. In fact, Brother Buzz Aldrin was the second man to walk upon the surface of the moon.
Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. We'd have way better CGI if it was fake. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
Never watch the television. Never watch the television. It's the greatest scientific indoctrination tool ever devised. Haven't you figured that out? It's changed the whole culture of nations, not just one nation. Why do you think it was mandatory that everybody in Britain give access to televisions by the government? Why do you think China is under the same program to get everyone with a TV right now? Because they love to have you entertained. Do you really think that? And India is on the same route as well right now too. Most of your ideas and your opinions and how you emulate, because you emulate things, you mimic what you see.
When a child cherishes a dream, he knows that every step he takes, every little thing he does, carries him closer to his goal.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
And when he dreams, the future becomes a reality. Because he knows.
I am the key.
Enopi, the global leader in self-directed learning, is now eye level.
That's the best thing I've heard this evening.
What, that a Mason walked on the moon?
Man on the moon. Amazing.
No more broken hearts. We're better off apart. Let's give it a try. Tell me, tell me, tell me lies. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies. Tell me lies. Oh no, no, you can't disguise. You can't disguise. No, you can't disguise.
But don't forget the musicians. Do not forget the musicians.
Known as that rule of three again. The 3 degrees.
Here on the top of the Capitol Dome in Washington, you can see the goddess of freedom, also known as Semiramis, Queen of Babylon, who later became Isis of Egypt. Now, we suggest the dome itself represents the womb of the goddess. So, if the dome represents the womb of the goddess, we should find nearby the phallus of the god, ready to impregnate her and bring forth the spirit of the sun god. And we most certainly do. Facing the dome is the phallus of the sun god, the Washington Monument. During his research for his amazing book, Apollyon Rising 2012, Dr. Tom Horn travelled to Washington, D.C., where he met with Masons at the House of the Temple, the headquarters of the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite. Horn says these men were very cordial and mostly responsive to his questions. They even confirmed his understanding of the influence of Freemasonry in American history. It was only when he pressed one of them about a ritual called the raising ceremony, the raising of Osiris from the dead, it's also known as, which is conducted in the temple room on the 3rd floor of the building. It's only then that these Masons became evasive and visibly uncomfortable. The reason for this, according to Dr. Horn, is that in addition to the raising ceremony being conducted when members reach the 33rd degree of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, this strange ceremony is performed without public knowledge in this very temple room at the inauguration of every United States president. Why is that? Because deep esoteric meaning behind Egyptian and Rosicrucian magic that was incorporated into the rites and rituals of Freemasonry hold that the spirit of Osiris can be raised from the underworld and installed, for want of a better term, in the reigning king or president. According to Tom Horn, this is why the US Capitol Dome is laid out so as to face the obelisk, the phallus of the sun god, known as the Washington Monument. An interesting point regarding the obelisk in Washington, the Washington Monument. The column is 6,666 inches high, and each side is 666 inches long. Now, obviously, this cannot be an accident, because we remember that the Antichrist's number in the Bible is 666.
Freemasonry has burned as a blazing fire through the last 3 centuries.
As permanent master of these 3 lodges, I now call on my deputy masters.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, on behalf of the Brethren of Royal Somerset House,
Most Worshipful Grand Master, our ceremonies and forever remind us of our incomparable heritage, and the birth of organised Freemasonry,
stressing the deep and sincere loyalty and affection felt by the Brethren of the United Grand Lodge of England for their Grand Master.
We leave the Royal Albert Hall even more proud of our ancient institution.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, I humbly ask you to complete the initiation of this worthy candidate for Freemasonry.
I hereby read the text of a letter sent today to Buckingham Palace. May it please your Majesty, we, the representatives of over 200,000 Freemasons under the United Grand Lodge of England, most respectfully express our continuing loyalty to your Majesty's throne and person in this, the 66th year of your long and distinguished reign, of His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, as our much loved and greatly respected Grand Master. We humbly thank God for preserving our order and fervently pray His blessings on your Majesty, so that our loyal devotion to your Majesty may long continue. Given at the Royal Albert Hall this 31st day of October, Anno Domini 2017. Her Majesty has been pleased to reply in the following terms. The Queen has asked me to thank you for your kind letter of loyal greetings on behalf of the representatives of the Freemasons under the United Grand Lodge of England, which are being celebrated on the 31st of October at the Royal Albert Hall. Her Majesty appreciated your thoughtfulness in writing as you did.
I had the pleasure of meeting 136 Grand Masters visiting from overseas at Freemasons Hall yesterday. Today, though, we are a meeting of more than 4,000, gathered from all around the world, from our own constitution and beyond. When the global Masonic family comes together to celebrate our past and to renew our own pride and confidence in and enthusiasm for Freemasonry.
An advocate for the craft all over the world, continuing 3 centuries of distinguished royal tradition at the very heart of English Freemasonry.
To order, brethren! To order, brethren, to receive the Most Worshipful the Grand Master.
The Indiana War Memorial, in particular, the giant black obelisk. Okay, I was just led to look at these things because these are literal markers. These are like Satan's thumbtacks in the map of the world. I mean, through the flesh, over millennia, he has, because of the lusts of men, namely for money and power, so on and so forth. These men have submitted themselves to Lucifer, to Satan, to the spirit of the darkness that wants your eternal soul to never know God. Its main purpose is to keep you from God and the saving grace, the knowledge of Jesus Christ. That is its number one mission. Keep the world from knowing God. And one of Satan's best lies ever was convincing the world that he doesn't exist. Because most of the world just goes about their business as if all this darkness and evil is just not there. As long as they have their daily comforts, they're fine with all this stuff. But the problem is it's closing in. And if you're not in Christ, on that rock, you will be destroyed. It's just that simple. But what I was led to do was look at these obelisks, right? Because they just love their obelisks. And so I went to the maps. This is where I was led to go. And there's your Indianapolis obelisk right there. And so I drew a line. I drew a line to the Washington Monument, because of course that is the largest obelisk in the world, if I'm not mistaken. The Washington Monument. Okay, these memorials. These are everywhere. This is what they do. They put up their memorials. So they decided to put up this 555-foot tall memorial with 4.6 meter thick walls at the base and 0.46 meter thick walls at the top. Why do you think that's the case? 46, 46, the 555. All these things are just their magic math, their spells, if you will. And they just do it and laugh at you while you continue to succumb to the will of Satan, the god of this world. I mean, I know I'm not the best at explaining this stuff, but so I drew that line from Indianapolis to the Washington Monument. Look at the properties of it to see how long it is. It's 492 miles. There are other figures we can look at, but we're going to stick with the 492, which is an interesting number. And then I was led to all the other obelisks that we know of on the East Coast, and there are many. If we go to New York City, we have an authentic, I mean, you have to understand what they went through to erect this thing here. To transport it to New York and erect this thing was a huge undertaking. And they didn't just do it because it was a nice gift from Egypt. It's because it's a marker. It is a symbol of Satan's dominion over the flesh. Okay, and this one just happens to be 23 meters tall. And if we continue up the East Coast, okay, we'll go to Clio in New York, and we'll just check that out, because I need you to understand something about this particular line right here, this one right here that I'm going to show you. So we'll go to New York just to check this stuff out. All right, up the East Coast. Now remember, this whole span of East Coast is where America was born. This is the literal birthplace, okay, the colonies. And so we have this giant 23-meter Egyptian obelisk outside of the Met Museum in Central Park in New York, right? Then we continue further up the East Coast and we go to Bunker Hill. This is very interesting. Bunker Hill was the tallest obelisk in the United States until the Washington Monument. And the Bunker Hill Monument happens to be 221 feet tall, which again is a very interesting number. And it also has a very nice Masonic temple at the base of it. Okay, are you getting the message here? And what I wanted to show you is if we go from this Bunker Hill, this is crazy to me, but this is just the kind of things that are revealed to me. We go from Bunker Hill and we go back down to the Washington Monument, but along the way we cross directly over New York City. And I want you to see how this line intersects New York City. I mean, flat out just cuts it in half, right? And look at how Trump Tower is situated to this line. And you wouldn't believe it if I told you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I measured how long Trump Tower is from this line, and it's pretty insane, you guys. This line right here, and I got it as exact as I possibly could. Exact as I could, you guys, seriously. 0.13 miles, now get a load of this, 222 yards, and you guessed it, 666 feet. Trump Tower from this line that dissects from the Bunker Hill obelisk all the way to the Washington Monument. We'll continue down to the Washington Monument. Okay. And this line that goes from Bunker Hill to the Washington Monument is 396 miles. Now, anyone can check this, but what really freaked me out, right, is we have this 492-mile line, exactly, obelisk to obelisk. We have this 396-mile line from obelisk to obelisk. Well, get a load of this. 396 from Boston to D.C. From D.C. to Indianapolis, the obelisks, is 492 miles. Exactly. Watch this. I mean, how? I'll tell you how. Because it's the spirit of Satan. No man can plan this out. This is all driven by a spirit. And I didn't end it there. I got to show you one more thing that I had to do. I went from the Indianapolis Monument, the obelisk, to the Bunker Hill obelisk. And I drew out that line, and I got to show you this. This is just crazy. That would be this line right here. And incidentally, if you put a compass on this angle right here, you're going to find that amazingly close to 33 degrees. Now we'll go to Indiana, to the obelisk, that line right there. And now we make a connection between them all. Okay, now remember, that's this line right here. Right? Now look at the properties of this. And remember, the 888 miles, well, 808 miles. It won't show the increments, but it's like 807 point, whatever. I mean, you can't get away from this stuff, you guys. So 888 miles. I'm just telling you that these things are not by accident. They never, ever are. The fact that this line runs entirely up the East Coast, the birthplace of America, Boston, to New York, through Philadelphia. I mean, it dissects Manhattan perfectly. All the things associated with this, it's just insanity to me. But there it is, man. And these two lines right here add up to 888. My goodness, that's just beyond to me, that's all. So I share it with you guys, and I pray you know Jesus, because it gives you an understanding of what you're looking at and who the enemy really is. And you no longer fear it because you got the power of Christ in you. The devil flees from that name. Remember that. Call on his name if you haven't already. And peace and grace to y'all.
down here now, as different as it looks, I still have those visuals, those images in my mind, in my head.
We're on, as a nation, mission now.
Suicide bombers, it happens in Israel on a daily basis. Those are the things we have to be careful of now. We have to watch for now.
Do you expect a suicide bomb plane struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center 1 year ago? Hundreds of people have gathered here at Ground Zero to mark the anniversary in what is expected to be. We tell you that the anniversary ceremony will also include several moments of silence, marking the times that the hijacked jets place roses on the site for a flower arrangement that will be turned into.
That's you and I, as the Masonic Illuminati sees us, as mindless apes, bowing and worshipping their demonic black obelisk of Masonic wisdom and Luciferian light. Their cube, so they think, that's going to spark and create this new world order, this Luciferian Antichrist system that's about to come upon the entire world. All symbolized by events taking place in our day and age. 9/11. That was one of their events. The Hilton Hotel. You can see it in the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. Blatantly, just there it is, put there in the Hilton Hotel in space. They both checked their watches. So they're telling you a little time story right there, how this is all dealing with time. And remember now, the original script was dealing with Saturn, not Jupiter. And Saturn deals with time. When you look at the original Millennium Hotel that was built in front of the Twin Towers, it's an obelisk. They intentionally built it to look like the obelisk in 2001, and they even say so. In the original script, of course, it's a cube that they changed. The logo of the Hilton Hotel is two twin towers within the all-seeing eye. It also is a pause button. The pause button stops time. It freezes time. It's also a 6, which is a 9. It's 666, and it's all in the movie. When you look at another one of their hotels, it shows like a split down the middle, representing like 9/11, Twin Towers falling over. There are 5 pillars on each side, and it's split down the middle, and that's for the center column in all of the designs of Freemasonry. It's all there represented. The monolith Hilton Hotel representing the monolith. They even said that that's what it represents officially. And there it stood in the middle, and it still stands to this day. The monolith, the center invisible pillar cube that survived the disaster. Well, now, I found this footage on YouTube. It was shot by somebody else. And what I found interesting is he shot it from the Hilton Millennium Hotel that's built in the shape of the monolith from 2001. Still standing to this day. And he's shooting outside of the window, looking at the two memorials for the Twin Towers and the Freedom Building and some other buildings. I mean, don't you find it strange that this thing survived? I mean, they really planned this out pretty well. They made only what they wanted to come down. The perfect demolition, but that's how they did it. Intentionally making sure that this monolith cube represents their Illuminati wisdom, which is that small center. If you look at Masonic pictures of the two columns, you'll see in the middle there's this, you know, there it is, this little smaller column or cube or monolith or obelisk right there. And this is how they brought it in. The Freedom Tower represents this wisdom, this new world order that they want to bring upon all of us. I've read it's supposedly supposed to be 1,776 feet tall. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know how to confirm that, but looking on the internet, this is what I've read, this is what I've seen. Now, if that is the case, they are most definitely not referring to America's birth of 1776, but to the Illuminati's birth of 1776, because that's who they are, and that's who did this. And also, in the same video, look at these memorials to the two towers, the two twin towers here. Look at those things. They're square holes in the ground. There you got waterfalls running on the sides, and in the center is like a another black hole, cube, square, black pit. And it's all just going down and down and down, then it goes into that square pit hole. What kind of memorial is that? They're sending people into the abyss, and also at the same time symbolically representing that they've opened a hole to the abyss. I believe if you go to these places, I'm sure it just sucks energy like a vampire from people's hearts and souls and minds. I'm sure it leaves you with a dead feeling inside. These memorials aren't normal. They're not right. This is evil stuff.
Heliopolis is the city of the sun, and in Heliopolis there was an enormous obelisk, and there were obelisks during that time of Egypt. This is pre-Christ. This is a time when there was a use of ritual, and there was a great philosophy as the person of God being in Pharaoh. And we had the sun worship. So we had these worship of these lesser gods, and it was done through ritual, and it was done through building altars and through sacrifice. So all the way to this day, we have obelisks still. Some were moved from Egypt. The main one in Egypt was moved to the Vatican in Rome. We, of course, have the one in Washington, D.C. There's a obelisk in the city of London. There's one in the Vatican City, and there's one in Washington, D.C. So we have the city of London, Vatican City, and Washington, D.C. that have a strategically placed obelisk. And this is the symbol of Baal. This is sun worship. there's a truth that we have to get deeper, because we never get free just by knowing truth. That's eating from the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. London is known for finance. The Vatican is known for religion, not Jesus Christ, but religion, which is the false church. And then Washington, D.C. is the head of military. This is on a global level. So globally, we see London, the head of finance, Vatican, head of religion, Washington, head of military. So this is what we have, these obelisks coming up, not only in these major cities, but we see them coming up now more and more in public parks and memorials. So when we have a memorial come up, this is a blood sacrifice. The memorial is always about who died, and it's blood that's been shed, and the desire for someone who's creating ritual, the Antichrist. This is the road to hell, and the Antichrist is subjected to that after this time. There is a time that this is allowed to happen, but ultimately we know what the end is, and this is a time of choice. This is a time of opportunity for our salvation. This is a time of teaching about the kingdom, learning about the kingdom, and really making sure we're going to be involved with the kingdom of the true living God, the few that walk through the narrow gate. So the many will be showing up at these obelisks, underneath them, and living our lives here beneath these towering obelisks. So we're living among these giant ritual symbols. And this is exactly how it was in Egypt as well. So we're still in the days of this. People being tempted away and pulled into. And the interesting thing that I always think about is that Lucifer is a deceiver and a liar, and people have to be deceived to go toward him, to believe in all these false doctrines, and to think that these ritual objects are just because, oh, we're remembering a memorial, we're remembering an event, we're sad about that, and we want to honor the people who died. And no, that's not what that is. But we have to be tricked into that, because we wouldn't be, if we knew what it really was, we wouldn't be laying down our flowers at these memorials, and we wouldn't be filling ourselves with emotions and regret and grief and loss at these memorials, these places of just pulling in through your soul, through these forces, pulling you in through your emotional soul into these tragedies.
Mr. Jones owned a cotton plantation and many slaves. One day he was talking to the owner of the plantation next to his, and Mr. Jones was lamenting the fact that times were tough. He was having to work his slaves harder than ever, and was having trouble with some of them being disobedient or trying to run away. The other plantation owner said he knew someone who could help.
Day 1.
One day Mr. Jones called his slaves together so a man named Mr. Smith could talk to them. Before beginning, Mr. Smith whispered to Mr. Jones, "Whatever I say, do not contradict me or interfere, and I promise you your slave troubles will end." "My name is Mr. Smith," he said to the slaves, "and this may be the happiest day of your lives. From today forward, you will no longer be slaves, but free men." Mr. Jones was so shocked he started to step forward, but Mr. Smith gestured for him to remain silent. He did, only because the other plantation owner had spoken so highly of Mr. Smith's skills. "You are no longer the property of Mr. Jones," Mr. Smith continued. "You are free. No more will you be forced to labor for the benefit of Mr. Jones. Now you can work for yourselves." Now the slaves were all murmuring and looking at each other. Many were smiling, many were looking puzzled. "In fact, you are now free to leave the plantation whenever you want," Mr. Smith said. "However, since we are surrounded by other plantations, if you leave, some other plantation owner will likely claim you as his own the moment you set foot on his property. So I urge you not to risk your newfound freedom by doing something so foolish. Instead, I suggest that you stay here, no longer as slaves, but as willing participants and part owners of this plantation. Yes, this is now your plantation." Mr. Jones bit his tongue to keep from objecting. "For now, we might as well leave Mr. Jones in charge," said Mr. Smith, "since he's the only one with any experience at running a plantation, which is quite a complicated thing to manage. But he will no longer be your master, but just another worker on the plantation. In fact, he will now be using his organizational and management skills to serve you. Whatever problems you may have had with him before, you are now all equals, and you need each other to make this work. If we all cooperate and work together, we can all reap the benefits together. In honor of this happy occasion, I present you this new symbol of togetherness and cooperation, this flag, which shall be the emblem of the new free Jones Plantation. He held up the new flag, but most of those listening were still too amazed to respond. And this shall be our motto, Mr. Smith announced. We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones Plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all. To celebrate, everyone has the rest of the day off. Enjoy your freedom, do as you please, and be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, so that we may begin work on this great and noble new endeavor as equal free men. Finding convinced that Mr. Smith was serious, the former slaves applauded and cheered.
Day 2.
We all want this plantation to do well, Mr. Smith said at the beginning of the next meeting, so we can all share in the benefits. We all know that it takes a lot of effort to make a cotton plantation work. Just because you're all free doesn't mean you can stop working. In fact, since you're now working for yourselves, I expect you to work even harder than ever before, but now with pride and joy, knowing that you're working for yourselves. Of course, there still have to be rules. If everyone just does whatever he wants, the plantation won't produce anything. This experiment will fail and we'll all starve. You should be thankful that Mr. Jones has agreed to stay on, to lend his knowledge and skills to this endeavor, and I trust you will all do your own part to make this work. Several of you have been chosen to act as project supervisors, to manage different aspects of the operation, to make sure everyone is doing his assigned job, to make sure that the rules are followed, and so on. The rest of you may head out in the fields to start your first day of work as free men.
Day 3.
The next morning, Mr. Smith had a grim expression on his face as the daily meeting began. I have an unpleasant duty to do today, he said. Yesterday, Charles was caught keeping some of the cotton he picked, presumably to sell for his own personal profit. That is against the rules. That is stealing. For that, Charles must be punished. 2 men tied Charles to the whipping post. I take no joy in this, Mr. Smith continued, but you must understand, if we do not maintain order, if we do not have rules that we all abide by, then the plantation will fail, and we will all suffer. The whip cracked against Charles' back. But if we all pitch in for the common good, then we can all prosper. Being free doesn't mean you should be selfish and greedy. We must each do our assigned duties and obey the rules, and then we can all benefit, and each of you will receive your appropriate share of the profits. A young man named Samuel stepped forward. But if you and Mr. Jones decide the rules and whip us if we disobey, how is that any different from what we had before? How can you say that? Mr. Smith asked. I'm shocked. You were a slave before, and now you're free. Things still need to be managed and organized by those best qualified to do so. Do you know how to run a plantation, Samuel? Well, no, he answered. But if we're free, why do we get no say in what the rules are and how things work? I'm surprised at your ingratitude, Mr. Smith answered. None of you know how a plantation is run, so you're in no position to be making decisions about how things are done here. You don't seem to appreciate all the things that Mr. Jones provides for you, from protecting you from all the outside threats you know nothing about, those who would come here, capture and enslave you, if not for Mr. Jones' protection, to making sure that you all have food and housing, tools to work with, you're cared for when sick and injured, and so on. There wouldn't be a plantation at all, no cotton to pick, no land to plant and harvest, if not for him. You should be grateful that he's made possible the level of comfort you now have. Your lives would be far worse if not for him. Nevertheless, as free and equal participants in this endeavor, from now on at each meeting, any worker may have 2 minutes to ask questions or voice suggestions or complaints. With that, the workers all seemed satisfied and headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton.
Day 4.
I have a big announcement, Mr. Smith said as the daily meeting began. Mr. Jones' cousin is here, and not just to visit and see how our project is coming along. It's been decided that from now on, you will be deciding who will manage the plantation. Of course, this job can't be done by just anyone, but every 3 months we will have a special meeting at which all the workers will vote on whether we think Mr. Jones should run the plantation or whether we think his cousin, Mr. Johnson, should run the plantation. That means that ultimately you are in charge because you will be deciding which man you want running things on your behalf. If you don't like the way things are being managed, you now have the power to change it. Amazed and pleased, the workers headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton. Days passed, months passed, a year passed, and the plantation continued to operate as before. Sometimes Mr. Jones was in charge, sometimes Mr. Johnson was in charge, but the day-to-day routine stayed exactly the same. The workers worked hard, long hours every day, and still had little to show for it. Every day the meeting would begin with them all reciting the Jones Plantation motto, "We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones Plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all. One day, Mr. Smith announced, Samuel has asked to say a few words this morning, and whatever the rest of us may think of his ideas and opinions, we are all free here, and that means we are all allowed to speak our minds. So, Samuel, you have 2 minutes. Begin. Samuel stepped forward, looking scared. I was excited when all this started, he began, glancing nervously at Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones. But don't you all see what's happened here? Nothing's changed. We're all still slaves. There were grumbles of disagreement from the crowd. They tell us what to do and whip us if we don't. They still make all the rules and punish us if we disobey. They let us make suggestions and complain about things, but they never really change anything. They let us choose between Mr. Jones and Mr. Johnson, but what's the difference? The situation stays the same. We do all the work and they take as much as they want and decide how much they'll let us keep. They live in luxury, made rich by the cotton we pick. We do all the work and have to build our own huts, grow our own food, and take care of ourselves. They leave us just enough that we don't revolt or run away. This is not freedom. We're all still slaves. They've only changed the words they use, but nothing else has changed. They say we're all free and equal, but we're not. They command and we obey. That's not freedom. That's not equality. They say we're free to leave, but all that means is that we're free to be someone else's slave. Why should we work or obey the rules? We didn't agree to this. They made the system. They forced it on us. They control and rob us and call it freedom. They've deceived you into thinking that being able to choose which slave master you'll work for is the same as being free. It's not. Open your eyes. If you keep what you produce, they call it stealing. When they take what you produce, they call it sharing and fair distribution. Can't you see that this is all your time? Ease up, Samuel, Mr. Smith announced calmly. At his gesture, 2 supervisors grabbed Samuel by the arms and led him to the whipping post. I'm sorry, Samuel, but you've broken the rules. There are rules against encouraging others not to work and encouraging others to break the rules. You're only hurting all of us with your discontentment and your complaining and your disobedience. The whip fell and Samuel let out a grunt. Without rules, without order, all would be lost. Without law, there would be chaos. We can't just behave as wild animals, each doing whatever he pleases. We must all follow the plan and all do our duty for the betterment of everyone. And those who do not must be punished. The whip fell again and blood flowed freely from Samuel's back. Samuel, it is you who are stealing from the others. When you don't do your assigned work, you are making more work for others. When you disobey the rules, it is you who are endangering the future of everyone else here. You are the thief. You are the criminal. You are the one trying to destroy the arrangement that keeps us all safe and prosperous. At every lash of the whip, the other workers cheered louder and louder, some yelling curses at Samuel. Being spoiled and selfish, you complain about everything, talking as if you're oppressed. But you are the one ruining things. You are the one keeping us from being all we could be. It is your greed and your rebelliousness that is hurting all of us. They all play by the rules, Mr. Smith said, gesturing at the others. What makes you think that you don't have to? You think you're above the law? There were loud yells of agreement as the whip fell again. We must maintain order, Mr. Smith proclaimed, to make this plantation great, to make it so that we can all be happy and prosperous. To have the society we want, there have to be rules. We all have to contribute our fair share to this great endeavor, and we cannot tolerate actions and attitudes that seek to undermine the amazing things that together as free men we have achieved and will continue to achieve. Mr. Jones was smiling as he gave Mr. Smith a pat on the back. The crowd was cheering so loudly that none of them had noticed that Samuel had died.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armour of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armour of God,